Good morning, everybody. It's Jillian. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. So, yeah, the last couple days has been pretty interesting. Very interesting. Only because when I touch a nerve out there in Facebook land, I know I am really getting very close to the facts and very close to the truth, okay? And what truth? The truth that people kind of know within themselves, but they're definitely fighting themselves. And it's interesting when you break everything down to the laws of life and the laws of death. It's like, oh, okay. There's nothing, what can you say when you break everything down to the laws of life and death? It's like, this is the law of life, this is the law of death. What are you going to uphold, life or death? And so, you know, people have issue with that. They have an issue with the fact that what they thought was true is not so true. They still hold fast to their activism. Yeah, they still hold fast to their industry. It's hard to separate yourself from a social status. It's hard to get rid of social capital. It's hard to not look at money as your God, because when money and social status and things are your God, then yeah, anything goes. It's like you will lose your morals and your ethics. And then when people want to find some kind of guilt relieving way of doing things, hey, John, they're looking for absolution, then it goes into the drugs, the alcohol, the sex, and procreation, because that's how people find ways to cope with who they are in the world and what they represent. Even if they don't really know intrinsically what they represent, their bodies and their minds and their spirits actively find ways to cope, find ways to relieve guilt. So they can still continue to get up every morning and go to that doctor's office and take out more organs and parts from their patients. I mean, I don't know how a doctor does it. I mean, years and years of rationalization allows them to go in and actually cut into somebody. That's the only way I could think of how somebody can be able to cut in a person, is years and years of rationalization. And so I made two more trinities of whatever, and this really hit home for me, because I'm like, oh my God, the closer you get, the closer the words get to each other, the more you will see the connection. The further apart words are from each other, when there's so many adjectives and so many commas and so many splices, whatever, the harder it is to see the connection. So I understand when it comes to very, simplistic sentences, but not too simple where you're like insulting intelligence, but you still want to get the point across. And so I do like my trinity of stuff, because it's going to get to the point that much quicker. And so the trinity of absolute, or trinity of human sacrifice, is politics, religion, and science. I mean, that is unmistakable. I mean, who do people sacrifice in politics? They sacrifice the other person. They're like, oh, you're this and you're that. You're taking away from my family. You're taking away from my country. You're taking away from this. I mean, people will sacrifice each other on the perception of what their politics represent. And then they go after each other. They hurt each other. I mean, human sacrifice is very prevalent and prolific in politics. Just look at the last couple years with both Trump side and the Biden side, and all the wars that happened the last couple years. And so you see there is some kind of human sacrifice in that. All right. And then let's see, the religion. When you're worshiping someone in antiquity, this is where I lost friends. I've lost friends on my Facebook and in my group, because I pointed out that if you are worshiping someone who is dead and you're looping in their destruction, celebrating their destruction, I don't care how you want to characterize it and how you want to justify, when you're worshiping someone that's dead, you're worshiping and looping in their destruction. You are promoting human sacrifice. People say that one religion is all satanic and whatever. I'm sorry, but all religions that promote worshiping someone that has died in the past and celebrate it in all the different holidays, that is a type of allowance for human sacrifice. And so that's how people are able to get up in the morning and go to their churches and go to their jobs and go to their network marketing, selling a lifestyle, because they have been given absolution through the church that it's okay to sacrifice someone else so you can get ahead. Oh yeah, they can spin it and say, oh yeah, he died for your sins. Why even sin? Oh, because people are constantly violating the laws of life in their body. And the only way they can find some absolution behind that is if they get lost in rationalizing why they keep celebrating the death of a person. Jesus was not a God. He was a person. He was a human that was put on a cross. If he was a God, he would disappear and not be put on a cross. But he was a person. He was like you and I, and he was tacked up on a cross, tortured by other people. And then people are celebrating that. How can that be anything good? How can that be anything life promoting? And guess what? I lost people out of my group over that. But they're also in the network marketing selling lifestyle. They're the charismatics. And then last night I was watching this thing on Netflix called The Son of Sam. Oh my God. I didn't realize The Son of Sam and David Berkowitz and Manson and Dianetics and and then even Jehovah's Witness. They're all connected. They're all connected as far as these satanic cults back in the 70s. I'm telling you, the 70s was not a place to really thrive in, because there were so many human glitches out there at that time, especially in California. Like I was born in the 70s. I was in California in the 70s. My dad even had to change his name. He was not related to Berkowitz, but he had to change his name so he wouldn't be associated with David Berkowitz, because it was so prevalent. The satanic cults and the promoting of human sacrifice, and then all the different killings and to create fear in the crowd. I mean, I'm watching some of these historical documentaries going like, no wonder. Back in the 70s was human experimentation all over the place. I mean, not only was, this human experimentation in the labs with mice, but also in the population, where they're messing with people's brains and then putting stuff in their head about human sacrifice, and then they're creating these cults like Charles Manson and Berkowitz and other people, and I'm just like, oh my God. And then yes, Dianetics and then the Scientology and all of these different religions all celebrate the fall of that poor man back then in antiquity, 5,000 years ago. And then people keep still celebrating that. And then how they find absolution again is in politics. Well, not drugs, alcohol, and sex. It's how people find absolution from what they do to their body and what they promote to their friends and family. And so, yeah, I lost friends off my Facebook because, yes, they hold medical licenses. And they're in the plastic, surgery industry, where they're cutting into people every day to give them the vision of what they think is supposed to be right. And then, yeah, I called them the God of death. Call a spade a spade. But at least I can sleep at night knowing that I'm willing to expose this, and I'm willing to risk my relationships. Because believe me, if we're not close, if you're willing to let me go, I mean, because of me pointing this out. Because it's not just the medical industry, it's the religious industry celebrating the death of a person from antiquity, as well as being okay with sacrificing your friends and family. And then, yeah, I mean, the politics, sacrificing your fellow man because you don't agree with the perception of what the system has put out there so you can react. Celebrating the people in the wars. I mean, it's insane how much human sacrifice is all over the place, and it's all over politics, all over religion, and all over science. And then how the Trinity of absolution is atonement. So when you're doing drugs, I don't care what it is, whether it's herbs or whether it's prescription drugs or whether it's illicit drugs, that is how people find ways to atone for themselves violating their bodies, the life of their bodies, as well as their friends and family. So they turn to drugs to find a way to separate themselves from what they know intrinsically is so horrible to humans. But can they put it into words? No, because this is their lifestyle. This is what makes them money. This is what gives them the social status. And so, no, they're not going to change their job because now they've had an epiphany that what they've done for the last 50 years of their life is destroying humans is now going to change. No. So they go to drugs and alcohol, and yes, they procreate, sex, porn, have a bunch of kids, whatever. And that's the Trinity of absolution, the Trinity of atonement. Absolution is relieving yourself of guilt because you knew intrinsically and you know intrinsically you've done something wrong. Well, then here you go, immortality. Immortality is not violating any laws of life. Immortality does not require a religion. Immortality does not require even politics. Immortality doesn't even require science. Because science is the study of. It's not really just like, terms and concepts. Go look up at a dictionary, terms and concepts. Yeah, you can take medical terms and concepts and put them in a medical dictionary and call it science. But science really is not only the study of, but selling you a perception that life is death and death is life. And then people are like, okay, then it's okay for me to go to the doctor's office and practice taking out organs and cutting into people and taking out pieces of this and suppressing evolution there. I mean, that's how people are able to get up every morning, is because they are anesthetized through the drugs, alcohol, and sex, looking for absolution because of human sacrifice and politics, religion, and science. And so it just dawned on me as I'm writing about human sacrifice. And I'm like, oh my God. And then the charities, all about atonement, giving money when someone has a funeral, going to the funerals, giving flowers, giving to a charity is a legacy. It's all atonement. You see all over TV, Fox and CNN, and they're all like, oh, remembering this person, that person. That's Fox and CNN's atonement for them promoting all of this human sacrifice everywhere. No, it's not just throwing someone in a volcano or putting them on an altar like back in the days of the Inca. No, human sacrifice is where you're just siphoning people's energy through drugs, alcohol, and sex. And if you are a lesser of a person, you would succumb to the drugs, alcohol, sex very quickly. But that's what's in marriages. That's what's in friendships. That's what predicates all relationships at this point. And here I am going like, holy crap. And so I'm kind of an island unto myself with a few people on the J Juice crowd that understand this. Not many, because there's some people in the J Juice crowd that are still in the politics, religion, and science, that are still going through the drugs, alcohol, and sex atonement. Because they haven't figured out yet, their body hasn't coalesced yet to give them like, oh yeah, okay, now I get it. And so it's quite freaking interesting. And then I look at the word God. I knew I blew your socks off, John. I blew the socks off of me too, because I never thought I would be covering this. Because I want to give every belief system the benefit of the doubt, because I think if someone is honoring it in some way, that I know they have some kind of credibility, but why are they honoring the word God? And so then, the word God is a way to make you feel removed from any kind of power or action, that you put your power in someone else. They're a higher power, which means you're a lesser power. Because obviously, if something is higher, then you're lower. Just by the very nature of that word, higher and lower. What makes you lower than that power? What makes, you less than a celebrity who's able to tap into certain biochemistries that you think you can't tap into? But then you realize with J-Juice, oh, you can tap into that certain biochemistry, and now you have mental clarity, you can write, you can speak, you can build your muscles if you want to, you can have now symmetry on your face. You don't have to go get plastic surgery, have somebody go and cut into you or take something out. If you're afraid of cancer, then you're able to allow your rest of your body, evolve to the level of that cancer. And so you don't have cancer. Now you just have growth and awareness and development. You're not getting lost in the alcohol, drugs, and sex. And so, God. And so, it's just writing right now is just opening up so many doors, because it slows down your thought process. You're not making assumptions. And so that way, then you're looking at all the little demigods that are out there. Demigods are half mortal and half divine. That's all freaking humans right now. And then people are like, well, then how do you become divine status? Like John was saying, you already are divine status. What makes you a demigod is the fact that you allowed your body to go to shit. So we have 1 billion little demigods selling death to all their friends and family, and they're celebrating it. And so, we have the demigods of death in the medical, holistic, allopathic, and which is why the chick the other day that I let her go off my Facebook, when she couldn't even defend my point of view, and she's still buying into the holistic world, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm all about life, and I don't like the vaccine industry, and I don't like the allopathic market, but she's not willing to understand that holistic industry is just as bad, if not worse, than the allopathic, because they're selling you as if they were different than the allopathic. But no, I'm sorry, but cannabis releases so much energy that you can't afford to lose. Taking all the turmeric and honey and all the different antibiotics is suppressing evolution. What else? Telling someone they shouldn't get a vaccine when you have no idea really what their medical condition is, and you're all taken up against the industry, but yet you're promoting all these little freaking supplements and deprivation of food to where you're so skinny that you're dying for a guru. That's why I don't want anyone glomming onto me and acting as if I'm some kind of god. And when someone wants to be a demigod, they will glom onto the nearest person who has something, the latest thing to say, because they want to extract that and then strengthen their platform in the demigod death industry. And I catch those types. I've had them next to me for a while. I didn't know what they were until I realized, oh God, it's the passive aggressive empaths. And they easily flock to people that have that kind of speaking, and you can tell. And that's how I knew that I had an issue with some of the personality types, because I know what kind of biochemistry they've allowed to be released over a long period of time. And yes, it's those that are in the energy healing world with the ayahuasca LSD back in the 1960s, of which then fed into the charismatics. And that's why the Jim Jones was way back then, the Werner Erhards in Landmark Education, or Est, or whatever. And you have the people, all the 1960s, the Hare Krishnas, all the charismatics, the cult leaders. I'm telling you, the 1960s and 70s was like the brink of really just, perfecting how to create little demigods in the network marketing, in the religion, in the sciences. I mean, the 1960s and 70s were so integral in how they were going to shape human behavior. And that's the MK Ultra, that's creating the stress. That's, where, corporal punishment, that's why people are turning to alcoholics and they beat their kids, and their kids turn into serial killers because they got beat every day by a father and then an alcoholic mother. And then, oh my God, here we go. Now we have generations that are doing this. And then you wonder why people glitch out there and they're causing and creating crimes and all that. And then you have to have a law enforcement. You have to have agencies and detox centers. So that way we can have some kind of semblance of, infrastructure and peace in our society. And you wonder why the police are getting such bad rap. Well, they got to deal with these people are glitching all over the place from the biochemical experimentation that's been passed down for generations. I mean, it wasn't that long ago in the 1960s and 70s, only 40, 50 years ago. I mean, I'm 47. I was born in 74. And my parents actually were from the silent generation. They weren't even a baby boomer. So imagine what the baby boomers had to deal with. And imagine what then the millennials and the Gen Xers had to deal with. And so then you're like, okay, now you get it. So human sacrifice has been like, it's in politics, religion, and science. And then atonement is through drugs, alcohol, and sex and procreation. And that's why we are in the state that we're in as far as a reset, because of all of the human sacrifice and people rationalizing why they destroy themselves and why they destroy their friends and family. And they go and celebrate it through religion, through politics, and through the science field. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to defriend Jillian. I'm going to block Jillian. I'm going to angry face her in her own group. Well, yeah, you're in the network marketing. You're selling a lifestyle. You're selling an illusion. And yeah, you're Christian. I can see why you'd want to defriend me. It's hard when someone shows a mirror to your face of what you're actually doing. But someone's got to speak some kind of truth and fact somewhere. It can't all be your illusions. There's got to be another perspective that must be at least considered. Oh no, that would get in the way of your business. I understand that. I get when money is your God. It doesn't matter who's being sacrificed when money is your God. So you buy more shit so it can sit in your house, and then you have to go and sell it at an estate sale when the person dies. Oh yeah, that's all that stuff that's in your house. that you bought from all of your money is your God stuff, that could have gone to you and helped rebuild your body and rebuild your family. So that way your kids aren't sacrificing their friends, the next generation. Oh no, let's just have that beautiful car and that nice house and that, I mean, it's just, it's such an upside down world. And so I see it, and it doesn't win me any friends. No, I'm not selling out. I wouldn't sell out to that chick that's in the holistic industry, and I won't sell out to anyone else, whether someone that's close to me or someone far away. I will not sell out, because selling out does not obviously get you anywhere. Look, our society is fucked up. People are fighting with each other. People are dying. People are finding ways to just anesthetize themselves. People are trying to brainwash themselves into being good. People are lying to themselves. So I don't really care if I'm the only little freaking island in my world. But someone's got to say, okay, enough is enough. And if you can't say it, I'll say it, and then you can go destroy yourself and everyone else around you. And you will have to find a way to live with that, or you'll get lost in drugs, alcohol, and sex. One of the two. Either face up to who you are, or you get lost in the same, human sacrifice. And so you don't need to have Joe throw in, the virgin in the volcano. People will throw themselves in the freaking volcano. And that's how our society has been set up. They're not doing World War II anymore with all the death camps. No, they want you to throw yourself in the volcano. And people are willingly to do it. And it's interesting. People are actually willing to throw themselves in the volcano, and they'll help each other in the volcano. That's what's so insane. That is the word, that is the Trinity of intentions, the spells, the curses, and the gifts. When someone willingly throws themselves in the volcano, when they willingly go to the altar, knowing exactly that knife is going to release all their spirit, all of their energy. That's what's crazy. When you're taking a pill, powder supplement, when you're taking out, organs, when you're, taking stuff to suppress your evolution because you have cancer, you're like willingly going to the altar, willingly going into that volcano and jumping in as if you were just like in a state of hypnosis. And that's what drugs, alcohol, and sex do. They put people in a state of hypnosis. And so, yeah, your home could be your volcano. And people's homes are their volcano. People's homes are the altars in some of these temples. And that is the truth of it. And, you can be all pissy that I'm saying this because you're Christian or you're Catholic or you're an alcoholic, or what I'm speaking is completely the truth. But, I can sleep at night. Yeah, after the other day, yesterday I was so tired after that interlude with that chick and that dude that both were, God. When I knew I challenged their belief systems with God and with the holistic demigod of licenses, I knew I really hit home. And I had to take a nap. I had to take it. Like my body, my brain was so tired from that spiritual whatever awakening, because it really was. Then I'm like, okay, now I have to find a way to write about this. Because now that they've confirmed exactly what I kind of knew, but I didn't know how to put them so together. I mean, look, look, you can't see it. Look at that wall. That's my mind mapping. That's me going through every single thing that I know and putting it all together through my own codes, the Trinity of. And when all of that comes down to the Trinity of sacrifice is false religion and science, and the Trinity of the absolution atonement is drugs, alcohol, and sex. But I have to still break it down to all of you. That takes layers and layers of programming being peeled back. That takes not being afraid to speak your truth and speak the facts. And some people will not speak truth or fact at all because they're still in the state of hypnosis. So that's fine. We have a lot of people on this planet that are consuming without giving back. Let them throw themselves in the volcano. We've given them all the information we can, but sometimes you cannot penetrate when someone is under that heavy of a spell. And when money is your God, it won't matter whose who's going to get destroyed when money is your God. And then you rationalize it through drinking and drugs and sex. And that's how people rationalize. And the system okays it because what's the system going to do? Tell you no? Oh, then you can do it underground. So you might as well do it out front. Everybody can watch you. And then people can take notes and take the data and be like, holy crap. The whole internet and everybody doing everything up front, not underground, has made things so much easier. And then you can actually see the patterns. Nothing good comes from going underground. So that's why I'm so transparent. I'm at my group transparent. I am transparent like all hell. Like all get out. I am transparent. And if you have to hide behind profiles and if you're hiding things and whatever, then you're obviously violating laws all over the place. If you are actually abiding by the laws of life, there'd be nothing to hide, nothing to atone for, no reason for the drugs, alcohol, or sex. There'd be no reason for religion, politics, or science. You would just live and you would be amazing. You would go and create something amazing or convert something amazing. You would help humanity be better, do better. You'd help your friends and family be better and do better. You'd be the example. No, it's easier to just cave into peer pressure and that's fine. It happens. It happens all the time. All right, I'm going to go. But I really, thank God I got some clarity. The last couple days was it was hard. It's like I went on a hike last couple days. I went on a hike in my mind. The mind is where the answers are. Not out there. Yeah, you can go hike and play in the woods for a minute. But where the answers are and where the truth and where the facts lay within, it's in the mind. If you don't have access to your mind, you're going to find the distractions. You will find every distraction until you pass away and throw yourself in the volcano. And that's what the system banks on because, yes, we're in a reset. There's too many people who are so unbalanced that the system is imploding. And so you can be the point of balance or you can be the point of a controlled implosion. It's up to you. Bye.